Hi, Daniel. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm just adjusting
Okay.
cameras and stuff right now.
Yeah, so I have a question for you. I'm not going to start my video because I still have work.
Yeah, no problem.
But the thing is that I'm sure I gave you all the access. Can you just double check to see if you are able to record or not?
Okay, hold on one second.
Take
Let
your
me
time.
trying to figure that up using my camera. Yes, I'm gonna exit out of this. Discord. Okay, yeah, give me 1 second. I'll be back.
Don't worry, take your time.
Hey.
Hi, yes, I can hear you. I can see you.
Great. That's a good start. Let me see. Let me turn off my ring effects.
I am making you presenter as well.
Okay, great. All right, so now the situation is, can we record? That's the question. I am clicking, I got polling QA notes. Where audio?
You have to be able to just hit on the record in the toolbar on the bottom of the window. If not, that's okay. I will record everything, but you are the presenter.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I am looking through the toolbar on the bottom and I don't see a record function.
So
And
what
then
do you have exactly?
I have mute, stop video, share, uh, yeah, share is for widescreen.
Okay, so you
Reaction.
don't have the breakout rooms and record. Okay, that's okay. I will take care of those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to sign in as a guest while I was trying to sign in, so I imagine I just have guest privileges.
Most probably because you don't have the account here. That's okay.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
all right.
So next time I can just send the Zoom because I believe that you guys have the Zoom account.
Okay. Well,
Maybe in that situation that is be easier if you have an account.
I mean, as long as we don't get kicked out, I'm
Yeah,
okay.
it
Yeah.
doesn't get us kicked out. We can sit here 10 hours. So don't
Okay.
worry.
And then we're good. And
Yeah.
we're good. I can also download all the programs to record. But yeah, to be honest, I think that all the programs you record is probably more robust anyway.
I guess that for now it's okay. I can just
Yeah,
do
just record today's session. I think
yeah.
that would be great.
Now, even for the future session, I can do the same thing as long as that you are the presenter or Matt is the presenter. One person can manage to take care of everything else. I will record, I will pause everything. Because to be honest with you, at the same time that I am listening to you guys, I am working on my work modeling files. So I cannot
Oh,
be
I
like,
see.
yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
So whenever you guys are ready, let me know. I will just hit the record.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, well, let's wait for a few people to show up. It's 31 actually. I think we should start on time, I guess. Well, it's just Caleb. Hey, Caleb.
How
Can
you
you hear
doing?
us? Hello?
Hey, Daniel.
Oh, hey. All right, so let me. Okay, so so guys, where are we regarding the VBA stuff? Are we looking at bonuses, or do we still have stuff to wrap up from the first section?
I'm still on the I'm getting incorrect numbers for the yearly change. So like I have a script that we're running from the last one, but it's not giving me the first number's right. So I mean, it's definitely it's part of the loop that is getting mixed up.
Okay, okay. Well, that's
I can
a
show
good.
you if you want me to share my screen. I can show you what I have.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be a good start. Let me pull out my VBA just so I'm on the same page here. Okay. Cool. That's not a bad organized. All right. Hey, Dorelia. Euralia? Is that how you say it? Yeah, if you're talking, we can't hear you right now. Okay, let's take a look. So you're saying that your yearly price, your yearly change is not working.
Yeah, so this one you can see this matches up. So negative 16.25, and then something's happening so that all of these are incorrect. And then here
Okay.
is kind of what we got to last
So
time. So this
okay,
is our yearly change one.
right. So if open price is 0, okay, so you set up a way to make sure open price always has value. And percent change is 0. Good. Open price.
Oh wait, I think I labeled them incorrectly.
Yeah, I think in previous amount.
Oh yeah, I missed one.
Yeah.
Something, yeah, this shouldn't be total stock volume. Total stock volume should be 12, and then this is supposed to be yearly change.
Yeah. And also for J, it should be change. And then for K is percentage and for L is total stock volume.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Let me fix this first. What is this one? This is percent change.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what were you talking about?
Yeah, so right now it's looking like your percent change. Okay, I see. All right. Well, it looks like your ticker A is also incorrect because your ticker A should be like 3 point something. So let me see. Let me just run my code and see what ticker A. Yeah, so the ticker A I got
3 point
is
something.
3.75.
What's
And then if
3.75?
the yearly change for ticker A. Okay, so let me take a look at your VBA session, I guess. All right, so you set up the loop for I is equal to the last row. Okay, that's correct. Ticker change, ticker. Okay, so you put in ticker range there. You print ticker. You have a unique counter that starts at 1, so you go to 2. That's correct. Open price is equal to that C and previous amount. What is previous amount?
So I was looking at somebody's on GitHub and just trying to like talk through the steps, and he had something previous amount, and he just had previous amount equal to 2. I don't really know why, because I know
Yeah.
we had this set to C2.
See, the issue is your previous amount is not in the loop. That means right now your previous amount is 2 for every iteration of the loop. Right?
Okay.
Instead of saying C and previous amount, it should be just C and your unique counter. No, not unique counter, sorry, your I. Or I guess in this case you'll be if range
So just
yeah,
C
it should
and
just be
I.
it should be C and I, not previous amount. Your previous amount is 2 at this moment.
Okay.
Let me double check. Is open price I or I plus 1? Let me see.
Let me run it once just to get rid of these incorrect
Okay.
headers.
Okay,
There
so
we
it
go.
looks like closing price is going to be I. Opening price is actually I plus 1, but it's for the next iteration. So we can get to that in a second.
Okay, yeah, because now this one's incorrect.
Yeah. So as of right now, the way your equation is set up, every time the switch happens where AI is not the same as AI plus 1, that index that you're pulling is actually the last iteration, the last row of the unique index. So from the last row, you can only pull closing price and closing and name. Yeah, you're doing plus 1. Yeah. So if you're pulling the last row, that means your open price is, if you do open price is I plus 1, your open price is going to be for the next iteration of the unique value. Does that make sense? Okay, so if you look at I, right? The
Okay.
I that you're putting out. So if range A and I, so let's say range you're at 2 right now, is not the same as I plus 1. So let's say if your I is at 1, your I
Yeah,
plus
so
1 would
if
be
it's
2,
down
right?
here,
Right. That's when it's switched. So essentially
so
the I
this
that
is
you're
cutting
pulling,
this.
yeah. So you at this moment, your I is 262. And from 262, 263 is you can pull the opening price for the next iteration of the unique value. Does that make sense? So you have 262 right now as your I. And on row 262, you can pull the name of your current unique ID and the closing price, right? Because that's what's offered on 262.
Okay, so it's pulling
Yeah. So your
this.
opening price, you can't pull your opening price on I. You have to pull opening price on I plus 1, right? Because 263 is the beginning of the next unique value. And then the thing that you pull from the beginning is the I plus 1. It's the open price. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
Kind of. Okay, so as of right
So
now, I,
this
yeah,
one needs to be I plus 1, the open price.
yes. And another catch for that is your I plus 1 or your open price is the beginning of your next unique value, not your current one. In other words, your open price, or rather the refresh or adding a new value into open price, has to happen at the end of the loop, because you're preparing the loop for the next iteration of the unique value.
So it's not going to catch the first one.
It's not,
not going to
yeah,
do A.
it's not going to do A. So your opening price right now that you can get automatically is going to be AA. That's the only open price that you can get from the loop. But what I did was I just essentially, for the first unique value, which cannot get through the loop, I just hard coded it into it.
So like before the loop even starts, you
I
you
just
did
said,
A opening and closing.
yeah, I just said no. So before the loop starts, I said opening price is equal to the A is equal to C2, right? Because I know the loop is starting at C2. That's when it starts, right? But because the way we did, the way you created your if statement, and you know you're only grabbing the last iteration of that unique value, you just have to hard code in the first open price for the first value, and that's it. Because everything else will work.
Okay. So just
Does
for
that
this
kind of make
one,
sense?
so you're saying just put open price equals range.
Yeah, but not inside the loop. It has to be outside of the entire I is equal to last row. This is before you even iterate your first I.
Okay, yeah. I'm thinking if statement, so
Right. It has
so
to
we
be outside the
take
entire loop.
this.
Perfect. So that's what I did. So now
I
going
mean, that
into
makes
the
sense
loop,
because it's the only one that's gonna screw up
Yeah,
Aside
essentially.
from, won't the last one screw up too?
No, because when you iterate to the last one, you can't do empty. So you're just not going to take the new opening price.
Okay.
Yeah. So essentially your opening price is your next is your index plus 1. But when you do that, you're getting the opening price for your next iteration, right? And then from the I, like straight out like where I is, you can get your name and you can get your closing price.
So the closing price is fine. Like this one doesn't need to be changed.
Yes, closing price is fine. But opening price needs to happen at the very end because right now your current loop is set up where your opening price will take a new value before all the calculations is even done. So essentially you're grabbing the opening price for the next iteration and you're subtracting that from the previous closing price. If your opening price is right there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so where do I need to move? So I need to move this somewhere.
Yeah, you just have to move it after all the calculation, your percent change, all of the calculation is done. Because after all the calculations done, then you can tell the formula to give a new value for opening price, which is going to be the next iteration.
So there or
Even after percent change, everything.
everything?
After everything is filled up for the first time, then open price needs to update its value.
Do you put it at like the end of the entire if statement? Where it has to be in,
Yes, at the end of the if statement, because you still need because the if statement will just trigger when the name change, right? So everything has to happen within that if statement, but you want to update the opening price at the very end of the if statement after all the calculation is done. Because if you update it too early, then you're going to use the wrong opening price to do your calculation.
Okay.
Let me see. So I mean, but it sounds like okay, you look a little not sure. So okay, so essentially we know this for sure. In your loop, your number I is going to be at a place where where your name change, right? Because of your if statement.
Yeah.
Your ifs is pretty much say if your current I, the name in your current I is different from the name of your next I. So your I is going to be essentially the last time that your current name is going to be the same, right?
Mm. Yep.
Right. So if it's the last time, that means from there you can get closing price because the opening price has to be the first time. The beginning of your unique ID. And the last time is going to be your closing price. Okay, so based on the equation, in order to find out percentage change, we have to take the opening price of January 1st from that year, and we have to subtract that from the closing price of December 31st of that year, right? That's how you find out the yearly change.
Okay.
Right. So to do that, at some point we have to find the opening price and the closing price of the unique value, or for A, for instance. We know that A is going to be 2. That's where the opening price is. And we know that A is going to be 263. I mean, sorry, 262, but that's where the closing price is.
Where are you getting these numbers from? I don't see any of these on the.
No. We're doing that automatically, but I'm just saying that that's where
Oh, you're talking about cells. Okay.
cells, that rows.
Yeah.
Right. So we know that we can extract I, which is the number. Every time your A or your ticker switches value, we can the system through an if statement will be like that index something happened. Right? Like that I, like on that number, something's happened. Because your if statement said, tell me something's happened if the ticker name switches. Okay? I want to know where that index is. That's essentially what your if statement means.
Yeah.
Right. So because the way it's worded, essentially you're saying, tell me the I where my current index word is different from the next index word. Okay? And then the system is like, oh, the index is right here. Okay, it'll give you a number. And then because you did it that way, essentially you're looking for the last row of a unique value, and you compare it to the first row of the unique value, because I plus 1 is the first row of the next one, right?
Yeah.
Right. So that's the index you have. So you're thinking like, okay, well, what can I get from this index? Like, what information can I get? Okay, we know that on the 260 on the index I is going to be the last index of the number, because so you see A turning into AA.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're taking the index of A because the if statement pops when the name at 262 is different from 263. And then you get 263 by doing I plus 1.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Kind of. So I still just I don't know how to set this up because like so you're saying so it's triggering here. Or no,
Well,
it's triggering
there.
here.
Right.
So I is 262.
Right. At this moment for the first iteration. Right.
So the closing price that it's taking on this one is this guy.
Yeah. Is F and I. So you can take the closing price, and then you can take the name. I mean, I also took the name there. Technically, you can take the name earlier than that, but you can take the name there as well, because you need to put the name on the unique name ID, right?
I'm just trying to grasp. Okay, so then
It's
so that's why you put it outside of the ticker. Or not the ticker, the loop. Because it's
for the
following
first
this,
iteration.
then when it goes back through, then it'll take this.
Right. Okay, so let me share my screen and let me just kind of show you. Maybe it's easier
Because
for
I
me to
just don't
share.
understand how it does it with the other ones.
Okay. So essentially, so let's say we go to 263, right? In your current loop, you're telling the system tell me when, let me make it bigger. So you're telling your loop, it's like, notify me when the current instance of A is different from the next instance of A. And when I say A, I'm talking about column A, not the actual value A. Okay. So when the system is scanning every single cell, it's going to be like, oh my god, at 263, the the name A is going to be different than 264, which is I plus 1. Okay, because right now we have I, right? Like every iteration, I will get bigger. And then we know that when I gets to 263, the system will be like, wait, 263 and 263 plus 1 have two different names. So I'm going to tell the user that, hey, by the way, 263 is a unique index that you need to remember. That's what the if statement does.
Okay. I'm getting confused because like I'm not just with like the code, but I think it's all of these different worksheets because I'm looking at yours now too, and it's different. So you're on the alphabetical one though, but like I've been trying to use this one.
No, the big one.
I've been trying to use something just as like a key to let me know that I'm kind of on the right track as far as like the yearly change, the percent change, which this one
Okay.
seems to match up.
So let's downscale this a little bit just so we can actually run the program that's not too cumbersome. Okay, so let's downscale it a little bit. Okay, so if you're going through and then you know that at some point the name will change, right? And that change is important because that tells you when a certain ID reached the last date or the first date of its I guess of its life. Let me try to word it differently. So when A changes to double A, you know that index 3, in this case index 3, is important because you can use that index to specifically pull out this row, and you can grab any information you want from it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then to find out what this index is, you use the if statement. Right? Because if the index name, which in this case would be 3, is different from the index plus 1, which you know is going to be 3 plus 1, right? Whatever it is at that moment, plus 1. If those two names are different, pull the original index, which is I, right? In this case, it would be 3. So now the system stopped you at index 3, and they assign the number 3 to I.
Yeah.
Right. So we know we have 3 because we know at that point I is equal to 3. So we have that I. The question is, what can we do with that information? Then we know that because I is 3, we know that B, let's say you want to play out the name, right? We know that AI, or A index 3, is going to be this cell. We also know that F index I is going to be that cell. And then we know that F cell is a closing price. Okay? Because to calculate the change yearly, you have to take the closing price of the last day, which is going to be the very last row of that index, and subtract it from the first day, which is going to be the very first row of that index. That's just the definition of yearly change, right?
Yeah.
Right. So if we have I, we have 3 in this case. What information can we infer from 3? We know we can take A, the name. We know we can take the closing price. And then we know that if we add 1 to 3, which will give us 4, it will take the opening price of the next iteration.
Okay.
Yeah, those are just information you can extract from I at this moment. So after you extract that information, essentially we have the name and the closing price of the previous unique value, and then we have the opening price of the next unique value. Those are pretty much the only 3 things we can extract from AI, from 3, index 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So because you have the next opening price, on your next iteration, all you have to do is bring the new opening price for double A, and then bring into the loop again, and then have the I get the closing price for double A, and then subtract it and create yearly change, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the question is, how do you bring double A's opening price into double A's loop again? Does that make sense? Because you
Yeah.
already have double A's opening price, but you can't use it yet because you haven't, the algorithm haven't found double A's closing price yet. And you found double A's closing price on the next iteration. So essentially your opening price is going to be 1 value more than your closing price forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's just kind of the I that we set up. So how do we deal with that? Well, we deal with that by just hard coding in the very first I. So when we were running A and we found this closing price, we can still have some opening price to subtract. And then to do that, you just hard code in the first value of single A, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So let's say you reach okay, so let's say you reach this part of the algorithm. I can't zoom this in. Okay. So we know that every single time a I plus 1 and I is not the same, the algorithm will trigger. Okay, and then on that trigger, you want to make sure you take the ticker name. You want to make sure that you take the closing price name, the closing price value of that current I, and you want to make sure you take the opening value of the next unique value, right? But if you put the unique, like the opening price, if you take the opening price in front of you doing your yearly change, then your opening price is going to be wrong, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because essentially you're taking opening price of the next number, not the one before. So you have to make sure that you use the opening price value to find your yearly change, and then you update opening price, which in this case I updated like here. Wait. Where did I update opening price? Okay, so I update here. And I wrote a small function here just to make sure that opening price cannot be 0, which you already did. You're good on that. Okay, I just did it in my own way. All right. So I update opening price after yearly change and yearly percent change is done. I just don't update that earlier. And then once those two things are done, then I update my opening price, and then I can move on to the next loop. Because when I update the opening price here, opening price is saved, right? So essentially, you have the opening price of the next unique value, and then we finish everything, and then we go back to the if, and now you have the closing price of the next value, and you can do your math, and then you take the next opening price, and you just keep doing that until everything is done. It's okay if it's confusing. We're gonna explain again.
Oh yeah, it's super confusing.
So
I mean, I've messed around with a lot of the stuff even before this class started, and something about for loops, I just don't. I kind of understand like what it's doing, but I just once it starts getting a lot of variables and a lot of if statements inside of it, it gets very, very confusing to me.
I see. So I think maybe this could be a way. So let's say I'm just gonna start a new module here. Sec. Okay, so let's just do a sample, just like a mock version of this. Okay, so let's say we want. I'm just gonna call this test. Okay, so let's say we want to figure out. Okay, let's say we want to figure out when the index will change, right? Okay, and then to do that, we say we want a loop that looks at every single one of these cells, right? Because if you don't look at every single one of the cells, you can't check whether or not something's happening. And then that loop, you can do a for loop for I is equal to 2. What's happening? Okay, 2 to I just do 100 for now. Okay.
Yeah.
1,000 for now. Okay. If for I is equal to 1,000, okay, and then you end the 4, okay. Oh, it's not M4. Well, what is it? Oh, next I.
Next I.
Yeah. Okay. So we know that right now we're just iterating through every single cell up to 1,000 cells. Okay. And then somewhere down the road, when you hit, so every time you iterate, you will be assigning a new value for I. So like the first time you iterate it, I will be 2. And the next time I will be 3. Next time I will be 4, 5, 6, 7. So I is always updating. And every single time I is updating, you're using that I data to find to essentially assign to like pull certain values from the cell, right? So let's say okay, 1,000 is too much. Let's just do 10. Okay. Just clear this. Okay. So let's say we have 10, right? And then on 10, I just say, okay, I want to, for range I, for range, let's say I, so we want the column I and I. So pretty much every single time I iterates, I want the same column to put in a value. Okay.
Yeah.
So you know why this I is there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, and I want to set the value to equal to the date. Okay, I just want every single time you iterate, extract the date and then put it in column I. All right, and to do that, you just do like range, specifically the date column, and I. So every single time I update, you'll grab the current version of that date. Okay, and when you run this cell, you will track which I it is, and then you will extract that exact date and then put it here. And if you can tell, date 1, this one is 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, that is the exact same value. So we know that I is essentially tracking which one of these numbers your current loop is on.
Yeah.
Okay, so so to find unique value, then you're doing, okay, if I, A, okay, and I, okay, if essentially this block right here, okay, if this block and the next block is not the same, essentially the value inside the A is not the same as the value inside the next A. Let's just manipulate the data a little bit. Let's put like double A over here. Okay. If that value is not the same, I want you to record I, so I can use it to extract data. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So to do that, I say if range A and I is not the same as range A, in this case, +1, right? If these two things are not the same, I want you to record I. Oh, I forgot to do that.
Or I
Then,
plus 1.
Is it I plus 1?
oh, sorry.
And the
Yeah.
plus one, I have a
Yeah.
quick question on the plus one. Plus one, it just means the next row
Next cell.
down. If it's not the same, then, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the iteration plus 1.
Okay, so we
Okay.
know. Oh, I gotta end it. Okay, so we know that in this example, I will be 16 when the if statement triggers. So I'm just gonna message box to make sure that happens. When you click F5, which nothing happened. What the heck? Why did nothing happen?
F5 or F5?
F5 is to run the cell. Okay, a message box is supposed to appear that tells you that you got to 16. Let me see. Let me try to debug. Why is it not responding? Huh. Okay, well, you're supposed to pull index 16 with this formula, because when you get to 16, you will look at A, which is A. I mean, you will look at column A, and you'll be like, okay, the
Oh,
value.
you're only going to 10.
Right, that is true. We need to get to 20, right? Like 17, whatever. 5. Okay, there we go. So you pull the data at 16, which is what we want,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so now we have 16. We need to ask ourselves, how is this helpful to us? Okay, and then we define that by knowing that percentage change is going to be equal to closing price minus opening price, and then we know that closing price is going to come from the last iteration of a single unique value, and the opening price will come from the first iteration of opening value. So to kind of test in this loop, how would you go about finding the first value instead of the last value? How will you change this loop to get 2 instead of 16?
Well, it seems that must seem obvious
Switch
that-
the things around.
Right, exactly. Instead of +1, you just do -1. right? Because then you'll find 16, okay? You'll find 17, and you'll be like, oh, where I is 17, which is double I, is different from the previous I, which is double A. So you will actually pull 17 out, which will give you the very first row of the index instead of the last row, right? So that's that's another way to solve that same problem. But essentially, that is how you kind of manipulate which index you want to pull. Do you want to pull 16 or you want to pull 17? If you pull 17, then on row 17, you can find the name of the ticker, and you can get the opening price. And then you have to do subtract 1 to find the closing price of the last iteration, right?
Okay, so it's the one that you're on is not equal to. So when is that gonna ping? Like what cell is that gonna set off? 17?
If we do -1,
Yeah.
yeah, it will ping 17. So I will be 17, which is the very first cell for which
Wait,
is,
so
yeah,
what is the difference between using that and using +1?
there's no difference. You can honestly use neither.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but if you use that version, then you have to adjust your opening price and your closing price equations. So that's when you can do like pseudocode, right? So let's say we do it this way, and we know it's going to ping at 17. Just theoretically, you will ping at 17. Then we're going to know a few things, right? We can type in pseudocode here. We know that the name of I, or column A, right? A at I is going to be equal to the first instance of a ticker. Okay, so from there we know that at I, the opening price is range I think 97 C9 CI or something. Okay, and we also know that the closing price of the last variable of the last unique value is going to be I -1, right? Because you're pulling 17, so you know that if you
So
pull
like
cell,
I -1.
yeah, if you pull like close, like if you put F I -1, which in this case will be 16, you'll be 17 -1, right? So you'll be 16. So if you pull F 17 -1, you will pull the closing price of the last unique value.
Yeah.
Okay, so another way to do
So-
it. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I understand all that. I just, how do you get it to do the math that it wants if it's pulling the closing price from the previous iteration and it's pulling the opening price from the iteration that you are currently on? I get
Okay,
that's where I'm getting confused.
I gotcha. Okay, so let's kind of write it out. So at I, right? At I, for this instance, we can pull the opening price. Okay, but you calculate the percentage error of the percentage change, right? We need closing price, right?
Mhm.
Okay, what is the one way to pull closing price? We know the data is like 262, so you can do like I plus 262 is the closing price. Okay, that's one way, but that's just inelegant because if the data is not perfectly 262, then you're going to pull the wrong data, right?
Yeah.
So all we know is, look, so right now we don't have a closing price and we want to calculate. How do we give a closing price before a closing price exists? We go outside the loop and then we define closing price. It's equal to something, right? So now for the first iteration of the loop, you have a closing price to work with. And at this point, you can calculate your percentage you change, right? But the issue is, okay, so after you calculate the change, then you're going to be like, okay, I'm ready to do this next loop again. And I know by the time that the next loop ticks, I can pull a new opening price, right? So how do I store my closing price for the next loop so it could be used by the loop again, right? So let's say closing price right now is equal to your I minus 1 right here, okay? So you stored it. When this ends, and then you go to the very front again, what is the closing price? It's going to be whatever you left it at, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So so let's say closing price right now is you define it by I minus 1. So there's a value here that you got from the sales, right? Let's say the value is 2. Okay, your first value is 1 and the second value is 2. When you go through the loop again, as long as you don't reset the closing price, as long as you don't reset it, that closing price value will go back into the loop. Okay.
Okay, so Daniel, I
and
have
then-
a quick question.
yeah.
So when you go through the I guess and I'm not sure if anyone else feels this way, but once you have your loop, let's just say for the ticker for it to pull the list of the tickers, and then it the loop for it to give you the sum for each ticker for the for
Total
the
volume.
yearly change and the percent change. Would you put that section on your next I, or would it continue to be within that loop, let's say right there?
So it's within the loop, but the key question you're really asking is when you're going to do a like what opening price and what closing price you are doing your calculations with. Okay, so we know at some point we have to calculate change with the closing price and opening price. And we know at some point you have to put a value for opening price and a value for closing price. But the question is when, right? Because right now we get I, okay? We know that I is going to be, or in this case, it's going to be opening price. Because we're getting 16, right? Oh, sorry, we're getting 17, right? 17 is the very first time that this new ticker ticked, right? So when it's the very first time it ticks, you're going to be on the first row, which is going to be your January 1st for that year. So you want the opening price from that tick. So at this point, you're forced to update your opening price because that's when will provide the opening price for you, right? But you can't update the closing price right now because closing price is not the closing price you want. Because right now we only have I, right? If we do I minus 1, which is the only reference to I we have, we can pull the closing price, but that closing price is useless. We can't use that in our calculation. But we still need it at some point, but we just can't use it in our calculation. So one way to store the closing price into memory so you can use it later is by assigning a variable to it. Okay, so let's say,
But wouldn't that just store whatever's at like Z or something? Like, wouldn't that be the last closing cost that it, or closing price that it goes through the iteration?
yeah,
Why,
so
why would it be? How are we going to get the one for double A?
double A, closing price in the next time a I is identified. Because right now you pull out 17, right? That's when the thing
Yeah.
changes. In theory, if the loop runs again, you're going to identify the next time another new unique value starts, right?
Okay.
And then when you find the next one, then you know that that is the closing price for that's where you can define the closing price for A, for this unique value. Okay, let me restructure that. That was kind of confusing even for me. Okay, so
Can you
every
write
single
it out
time
like how? Write out like what would actually get it? I mean, I don't know about everybody else, but like if I could actually see the syntax, but because I still don't understand how we're getting that closing costs, closing price minus the opening price.
Cool. Let me make this bigger. Let me just make it 250. Okay, that's big. Okay. All right. So
Going
essentially,
through it with the person's online, even just, I mean, I don't know how his worked.
it is fine. It's fine. Okay. So essentially, every time you loop, right? In this formula, you're going to identify the I. You're going to store a value for I when I and I minus 1 is different. Okay. So
Yeah, I got that.
okay. So because it's I minus 1, right? So essentially you're comparing you're comparing the value from the last I versus the first I. Because it's I minus 1. If you do I plus 1, then you're comparing the current I to the next I. Okay, and that's going to give you different I values.
Mhm.
Right? Okay, so you have the term I. So you know for sure, because it's I minus 1, you know that this I is going to be the last iteration of your unique value, and then this I is going to be your current iteration of the unique value. All right, and because they just shift, this is going to be the very first iteration of your current value. Okay, and this is going to be the last iteration of the last unique value. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're on the first iteration, what happens? So you have I. You have I right now, okay? And you know I is the first iteration of this value. So that's what you know, right? Okay, so from the first iteration, we know that by definition, okay, opening price is going to be equal to the first price on the first iteration. Okay, so we know that. So that's why we can say opening price is equal to I. So I, whatever, CI. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And then we also know that name for this first iteration is a unique value. All right, because just by definition, and by definition is unique for this cell, for this I. So we can do like AI is equal to the name. Okay. The problem is we need closing price for this last I, and we just don't have it, right? We want closing price, but we don't have it. So what do we do? For me, if you can hard code in the first I when you don't have the closing price, okay? Because we also know that by definition, closing price for the next ticker, or rather, not next, sorry, previous ticker is I minus 1. Okay, but the issue is we don't need a previous ticker. We need our current one. So this is useless, this iteration. All right, so I'm just going to call this useless. So to calculate the percent change, well, not percent change, but like yearly change.
Yearly change.
Yeah. To calculate yearly change, we can use the opening price, but we can't use the closing price. Okay? But this closing price will no longer be useless on the next I, right?
See, that's where you're losing me. How I don't understand how we're gonna use that.
Okay.
So can I ask one quick question here, guys? Sorry, I joined late, so I didn't want to join and jump in between, but trying to make sure. When we say we cannot use the closing price on that row, right? For example, if you take, just for an example, if you take the first row, just take the first ticker as A, right? And if we have only one record of A, right, of the ticker A, and you have the starting opening price and you have the closing price. So for you, you have the only one record for the day. You have an opening price and you have a closing price. That's it. Now, next row is ticker something else, say B, right? So I'm not sure, and I think is able to understand that why can we not use that row price, the closing price on that row?
Okay, so let me explain that.
Because they're separated by a unique, so look at this one. So this is a weird sheet. I don't know why it goes from AA back into A's, but so like where A turns into AA, like Daniel was saying, like once you're at that So if Daniel, you can scroll down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right here, it's going to give us once it says I is not equal to the next one. So basically it's going to give us 264. We can take the closing price for
Oh, 262.
262, but that's for A. That's not for AA. So those two data
Yeah.
points being used together are useless. We
No, no.
need
Again, when you are your I is 263, right? When
Mhm.
your I is 263 and you're reading the price and the day value, the high value is your row number D, right?
Yeah.
And then closing price for that day is gonna be your which is on row number F, right?
Right.
So why cannot we use that? That is
You could
because it's
use
not the end of the
263.
year.
Yeah, I mean for
Oh.
263, you could use closing price, but you can't use this opening price because you're looking for the opening price on the first day of the year, which
Yeah.
is all the way. Oh
Okay.
gosh, it's all the way up here.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm missing that. Okay, let me go back and rephrase. I think I probably didn't understood the question properly then. Okay, let me go back because I thought that was for the ticker. For the ticker, what is a yearly change and what is a percentage change? That is for the ticker because on the right side, it is for the ticker because when we are changing the ticker, that is the price we have for the ticker for that whole year, right? Because the year is changing after that.
Yeah, but we
Well-
somehow need to pull F262 minus C2. And I don't know how to
Exactly.
do that.
Exactly. Okay, so maybe
Oh,
this
yeah,
will
okay.
be a little.
Yeah. I got it. So because that is the percentage, because that is what the okay, I got it. But that is a different problem statement, right? That we cannot use it. We could still use it if we would have the opening price. That is the lowest, that is the starting price. Like, so if we would declare a variable for that ticker, that is our starting price, and we could store it, and then we have the closing price so that we could compare. I think I'm jumping too much out of it because you guys are too much into it, and I just joined late. But I think we could solve it that way.
Okay, well, let me just try to
Sure,
figure
yeah,
out
yeah.
maths thing first, okay? All right, so okay, let me start from very beginning, okay? When you have a for loop, right? For loop, for I is equal to 1 to 10, okay?
Right.
And then next I, okay? Let's say you're iterating through let's say you have cat and dog. Okay, so for this loop, you say okay, so at I1, right? This is just something just a second. When I is 1, cell value is dog. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
When I is 2, cell value is cat. And when I is 3, cell value is rat. Okay?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So when I is 1 and you say, okay, I want to let's say you assign a variable here, okay? Variable is equal to cell 1 or cell I, okay? On the first iteration, what is variable? It's dog, right?
Undefined. Oh, okay.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
dog.
dog because I is 1 and we know that when I is 1 is dog. Okay?
Right.
So before, all right. So now the second iteration, before you update the variable, okay, in the loop, let's say you have something here that says like message box variable, okay? And then message box variable. What is the difference between these two message box? Is this one going to give you dog or cat on the second iteration?
The first one is gonna give you
Dog.
a
The first one is
dog.
dog,
Yeah.
right?
And the
And the
second one is
second
gonna
one,
give you
okay, but for this message box, is this one going to be dog or cat?
That one's dog, and then the next one is what? Cell I?
Cat. Yeah, because before, so when this happened, your variable hasn't been updated yet. Because they have to run this first, and then your variable hasn't been updated yet, right? So before it's updated, it will retain the value that it was updated last time.
That's true. I think, yeah, I understand. Yeah, but I think, yeah.
Right?
Unless it is
So
yeah.
yeah, and then after it's updated for the second iteration, now the second message box will be cat because it's updated now. Does that make sense?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so going back to the example with the opening price, right? We have to use opening price here. But we don't update opening price until here because we just don't have access to the first iteration, right? So what we have to do is update opening price now. Update, okay? And then when we start the loop again, if we use opening price before it updates again, we're using the last iteration of opening price, not the current one.
I see where you're getting at it, but it's like I
Okay.
see how you're saying like we have to store a variable,
Yeah.
and then as we go
So
back through, it'll just act on that.
exactly. So the question you're asking
So how do
really
we do
is
that?
when do we update that variable? Because if you can
Also,
figure out when to update that variable, then you can use it whenever you want. Okay. So going back to the dog example, right? So let's say at this point we're asking is variable equals to dog. Okay? And at this point, is variable equal to dog? Okay? This one will be true because the variable hasn't updated for I2 yet. But once it updates to I2, this will no longer be true. Now it will be false. You just have to use, let's say if you really want the dog, you just have to use the variable before it updates.
Okay, so I'm starting to see. So basically, when we go through this, we're pulling the closing price first, and then
Right.
going back through,
Right.
and then subtracting the first opening price.
Okay, so real quick. So let's say right now we update closing price. Okay. All right, and then we have an opening price. All right, but we don't update opening price yet because we need to use opening price for this equation. So we just don't update it yet. Okay, so we don't update opening price, and we do change is equal to closing price minus opening price. Okay, and then we update opening price. And then once you update this opening price, when you go back into the iteration, opening price will be used here again because you just haven't updated. So essentially you're using the new closing price to subtract the old opening price or the opening price from the last iteration. Does that make sense?
Basically, we need to start with a closing price.
Well, you need to start with whatever you wrote, right? Because if you wrote like I plus 1, let's say like tell me when I is different from I plus 1. If this is your if statement, then you are getting the last iteration of the ticker. So at that point, you can pull the closing price, but you need to use the opening price from the next one. So you first use the closing price, you update closing price, and you subtract it from the opening price from the last time, and then you update opening price. And then you loop again. Now you have the older opening price, but you're updating closing price first, subtract it, and then you update opening price again. So you just have to update opening price after you finish your formula.
Maybe I think if we could just write it down, that'll be helpful. I think once we see this working, right, we could have written this all so far.
Okay.
Can I share my screen?
Sure. Just hop on in. I think you can share over me. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let me see if I can.
you can jump in.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay. So this is kind of how far I got.
Okay.
And so just listening to the opening price and closing price, because I was kind of stuck on that too.
Mhm.
And at first I was trying to add a date, like an opening date and a closing date, but that didn't work. So
Okay.
so if I add open price here, cells I plus 1 from column 3, which is C, and then
Well,
close price would be I minus 1, column 6, which is F.
yeah. So, okay, so if you look at your if statement, right?
Yeah,
Your first cell, okay, so the I is where your current index is, and you're comparing the next I against your current I, right? So let's say
right.
if the value change, let's say for A, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is your I? Is your I 1 or is your I 2? Your I is 1, right?
Yes, my I is 1, which would
Okay, but
be,
you're comparing it to 2, right? For first instance, right? Because
oh,
ticker
yes.
is not the same as A. So the program will pull 1, right? We'll pull
Okay.
index 1. It's like, by the way, at this index, your next index is not the same thing. So what can you pull from index 1? Because that's where I is, right?
Okay.
You can pull the ticker name, and then in our case, you can pull the closing price. Because that's the last time ticker will be a ticker, or in this case,
Right. Okay. So which here I'm telling it to pull, and then I'm telling it, hey, if it's not the same, then I want it to pull the name of the ticker.
right? Which
Right.
is that I, right?
Right.
And what else can you pull from I?
Which again, the opening price,
No,
right?
not for I plus 1. You right now so
Oh,
if you do I plus 1, you're comparing your current I to the next I. And
right.
if that is a
So I'm only
difference,
looking at A, basically.
no. So not necessarily. So okay, so right now you're comparing current I to the next I, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means if there's a difference,
Right.
is I the first iteration of that unique value or the last iteration? I mean, that's the question. Like, is it the first or the last iteration? If you're comparing to the next I,
Oh, so
it's the last
it would
iteration,
be the
right?
last one, right? Right.
Exactly. So off the last
Oh,
iteration, you have to pull closing price, because for opening price, you have to pull the first
First,
iteration.
okay, got it, got it. I
Okay.
see what you're saying. So how would I tell it that at this point, not only pull the ticker name, but also pull the closing price?
Well, you got the closing price. So the trick is, how do I get an opening price for this ticker, right? Because you don't have a way to reference opening price from I. Because I is just so far away from opening price that you can't even reach it, right? So,
Right.
but all we know is if you do I plus 1 in this instance, you'll be able to pull the opening price for the next ticker, right?
Right.
Right. But you can't use the opening price for the next ticker yet, because we're not at the next ticker. We don't have the closing price for the next ticker. So instead of updating your opening price when you pull the closing price, you want to update the opening price after you finish all the calculation. So the next opening price will be carried onto the loop again. So you will have the closing price for the next ticker and the opening price for the next ticker at the same time, and then you can do the math.
So, okay, and where would I do that? Would I have to go to the next I to put that calculation? Or can I continue here?
It's within the same loop. So that goes back to the dog and cat example. If you reference the closing price before you backwards. If you, in this case, if you reference the opening price in your equation before you update opening price with the next iteration with the next unique value, you will be able to have the previous opening price with the current closing price. Does that make sense? No, that's a terrible way to explain it. I'm trying to think.
So you're saying it has to be within the loop, which means if my loop starts right here,
Yeah.
it has to be here
So everything has to be within the if loop because
or here.
yeah, so your for loop is simply the only thing your for loop does is to look through every single row. That's all it does.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Your if loop is actually the only thing that can tell you, by the way, the unique value changed. So you should pay attention to this index. That's what the if loop does.
Okay.
Okay, so when that happens, you have to pull the current closing price, the current name, and the next unique value's opening price.
Okay, so then here, would I put an if? Well, no, it would be an and, right? So if this blah, 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 then this, but if I can put another statement right here. Is that what
you
you're
wouldn't-
saying? Or maybe
You
I-
wouldn't need another statement because you already got the I. So I, in this case, is when the ticker switches. So your
changes.
I right now is the last iteration. Okay, so for example, in this case, right? Let's say you know what I is. Let's say I is
Right.
263, okay?
Okay,
And you know that the opening price for this ticker is 262 points before,
yes,
right? You can technically say opening price is equal to the opening price sell of I minus 263 or 262. Because then you're going backwards 262 and be like, that's the opening price.
so here is where I would put opening price equals sells.
So,
So then
yeah,
it
you
would
can
be
I
I-
minus 262 or whatever.
minus 262.
Right. But that will work for our equation, for our current data. But if the difference between the data is not exactly 262, you'll pull the wrong
Yes.
value.
Yeah, it's gonna be the wrong value.
Right.
Correct.
So instead of doing that, I can just say that your closing price is that I, right?
Mhm.
And then you're gonna use the opening price to do the math so you can get the change. And then you update opening price to I plus 1.
So this actually should be, we're gonna,
So right
We
now,
need to put
opening price
this
doesn't
as
have
a
a
close-
value.
right, so we wanna do close price.
Yeah. Is
Okay,
equal to I, which is I
Uh-huh.
think I don't know what number that is. That cell is. It's F is
close
think
price
6.
is 6. Mhm.
6. Okay. All right.
I6, okay.
And then you can even pull the name, the ticker name, because that's unique, right?
Okay, so then, so would I put that, oh, sorry, dot value and,
No. So you're done. You're done. So now you pull the price, the opening price. I mean closing price, right? But
okay,
do you have the opening price for this equation? For this unique value?
do I have the opening price? Is that
Yeah.
what you're,
Yeah.
no, we don't.
You don't, because your I is, you don't want to do I minus 263, right?
Right.
Right. So at this point, you have to do the math, do the yearly change, right? So how do you do that? You could go ahead and write it out. Even if you don't have closing price, you just be
Well-
like, this is a problem I have to solve later. I just write it out
Okay,
first.
I have it here, which is yearly change equals close price minus open price. And this is gibberish because I was trying to use the dates.
Oh, you could use the dates too, but that's like another
Yeah.
bad form.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, the tutor said don't hard code the, the
The dates.
data if
Yeah,
possible.
because not every stock starts with the same date and end
Right.
with the same date. Some stock doesn't have any value for the first date, but has that value for the second date. So you want to grab the second date. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Okay, so since we know what close price is,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to know what the
Yearly
open
change.
price.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
open price right now we just don't know it. We just don't have it.
Okay.
The best we
it
can
was
do
yearly
is to pull
change.
the. Yeah, exactly. So the best we can do is pull opening price for the next unique value, but we just don't have it for this one. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
So which
But
would
go
be
ahead
the-
and write it out anyway. Closing price minus opening price.
Okay.
Okay. So now we know that that's true because that's it, right? So where do we find opening price? Okay,
It would be the very first.
of the next one, but we don't really have a way to do it. But we do know I plus 1 is going to be the next unique value's opening price, right?
Yeah.
But it's not our current one, but it's going to be the next one, right? And we know that if that value gets carried over into the equation again, we can reference opening price from the last iteration, subtracting the current iteration of closing price, and then we'll have our answer, right?
Ooh, okay, Daniel, you just lost me there.
Okay, no problem, no problem. So at current, all right, so iteration is like where the loop is right now. So the loop is right now when I is equal to 2, for instance, just for example, okay? What is the last iteration? Is when I is equal to 1, right?
Okay, yep.
Right. So I is equal to 2 will give us our closing price. But we don't have a good way to get the opening price, right? But we do know that when I is 2, we can get the opening price for the next one by doing I plus 1.
Okay, so opening price here would be,
I plus
I
1.
would actually, yeah, equals cells I plus 1.
Right. But the issue is
Right.
you actually can't use this opening price because it's not the same unique value. You have the opening price for the next value, unique ticker, and you have the closing price of the previous unique ticker. So what do? That's the problem you're trying to solve, right?
Yeah.
Right. And the best way to solve that is to not update opening price until you finish all of your equations. So, okay, so for instance, right? Okay, just type in open price. Okay, go to hit space. Hit enter. Let's go to the next line.
Yeah.
So let's do open price is equal to sales, I plus 1, I think 3, that value.
Oh, so basically it would be this. Oh,
Right.
okay, yeah.
Okay.
So then I would put here.
Perfect. Okay. Even though, okay, so when opening price is that value, so you update it after the equation, right? So you already finished calculating yearly change at this point. Then you update opening price to the newest price for the next ticker. So when you have that value for opening price, and then you cycle back to the for loop, okay? What is your opening price value? It's going to be whatever you had it last time, right?
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Just like that dog and cat example. Unless you update opening price again, it's going to be the same value as you had before. So you just have to make sure you use your opening price in the equation before you update it. Okay. But what is the problem now? Okay. So let's say this will work for every single thing up to besides the very first iteration. Okay, because right now you're using opening price when opening price is equal to nothing.
Yeah.
Because you won't have an opening price until the next cell, right?
Yeah.
So how do you solve that problem? You just have to give the first opening price a value, just hard coding the first value.
Okay. So basically open price A equals, and then give it that opening price.
Yeah.
41.81.
Well, or you can specifically sell C1 or C2, right?
Gotcha.
Right. Okay, so here's a problem with, okay, so the next question is, all right, if you hard coding that value, where should that opening price be inside the loop or outside the loop?
It should be outside the loop.
Why?
because we don't want it to use that same cell over and over.
Yes, that's it.
Yay! Oh my gosh.
Right. So, but you kind of get it now, right? So
Yeah,
essentially, yeah, the question is when do you update open price? And you update it after you use it the first time. But if you do it that way, then you're gonna have problem on your first sale. So you just for the very first sale, hard coding the opening price, and then you're done.
Okay. So it'd be 2 and 3, right? That was correct.
C,
So
yeah, 2, 3.
cells
Yeah, 2,
2
3,
and
2, 3.
3. Okay.
Perfect. Now
Okay.
your yearly change is not activated, so you can go ahead and put in the yearly change equation now, right?
Oh. So
then
then
make
it would
sure-
be.
Yeah.
So it would be close price. Oh. I'm assuming that it'll.
Perfect. Yeah. The opening price.
Open price. Okay.
Okay. So now you know you're getting the right changing year. Now you just have to put it into the right cells.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Right.
Oh man, this is gonna help a lot, especially since I'm under the gun this week with helping my son move from Florida to Ohio.
Yeah. Definitely
I'm
is a journey.
It
Okay, so
is.
here's the next trickier part, right? So if you
Mhm.
look at column I, just like on the Excel page,
Mm-hmm.
okay? So let's
Yeah.
say you put in ticker A for I2, okay? That means your
Okay.
yearly price or yearly change for J has to have the same index as the ticker, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because at this point, I is like 200 something. So you can't put the yearly change at JI. You have to give it a new counter or a new index tracker in order to put it into the right cell.
Okay.
Does that make
'Cause
sense?
yearly- Okay. No,
Okay.
sorry.
No
I mean,
problem, no problem.
Kinda.
Kinda. Okay. So right now you have yearly change, right? So
Right.
within that year, within this loop, you have to populate yearly change to cell J. Specifically
Right.
J2, J3, J4, J5, whatever. So every single time this
Okay.
trigger, you want to put that value to J, right?
Right. Okay.
Okay, so we can go ahead and code that in. Go ahead and tell the computer to do that.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Let me look at my notes. Sorry.
No problem, no
Um,
problem. Take your time.
Okay. So we want to would I keep it here though, or do I have to put it down here?
Well, that's a good question. Like, which one do you think? Because you need
Okay.
to do this once every single time you find a
Um,
unique value, right? Every time I triggers. So you can
Okay.
yeah, you can see where it goes. Yeah.
So I am thinking it would be at the end, because once it does the calculations, then I want it to put it in these cells.
Okay, so
Is
it has
that-
to be behind the calculation. You are right. But does it happen as often as ticker name? Every time your ticker updates, do you need a new yearly change?
Yes.
Yes. So you put your ticker updates like set each ticker name, right? You can just put it right
Right.
next to it.
Right here. Or
Yeah.
next to it right here. So
Yeah,
then
you
it
can.
would be so cells cells
Well, we can get into that, but it should be like I don't know which one J is. J is 1, 2, 3,
say
3, 4,
3,
5,
6,
6,
7,
7,
8,
8,
9.
9.
9.
Okay, so it's 9. Yeah,
So
cells.
9.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right. That value.
Okay,
is equal to,
equal to, hold on, to ticker,
no,
right?
it's equal to yearly change.
Oh gosh, wait a minute.
Because what the result from close
Yeah,
price minus
okay.
open price.
So 10. So it's actually 10
Oh yeah.
would be yearly change.
Yep.
Yep.
In
Okay.
fact, you also know that you have to update percentage change as total stock volume. So might as well just put it all in there.
Mhm. 11, so- Mhm. 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 Well, mhm. Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
So see, here's my question though.
Yeah.
What is I right now? Is I the same as the cell that you need to put this number in? If the I
No.
change, right, we're looking at 263 for I. So what do we do? Like, how do we reference the correct cell where your I is right now for these changes?
So it would be actually, I added summary table row.
Okay,
I'm not
that's
even sure
perfect.
if this is right.
That's
Okay.
correct. So go ahead
re-
and
So really it should be,
summary table rows.
so
But does that make sense? Like why you're doing this?
yeah, I'm telling it that I want the summary table.
Mm-hmm.
I want the cells, the yearly change that's in the summary table
Right.
in this specific column.
Right.
But I feel like I'm missing the row. No, yeah, the
No.
row.
No. So your column is gonna be I, J, K, and L. That's your column. The
Yeah.
row is actually your summary table rows. Because
Okay.
you want to put
Oh, so I am missing the ticker, so I need to put cells for a ticker.
yeah, do that
Right.
first. Yes, that is
I'm like, wait a minute, there's something missing here. So that's 9.
perfect. And make sure your variable is the same.
Oh, you're right.
Okay. All right. So now you have okay. Now you're populating the correct thing, but summary table right now was just be 2 forever. So after everything is populated, what do you have to do with summary table? So it will populate 3 next time, 4 next time, 5 next time.
So it'd be +1?
No,
No. Uh-oh.
you're on the right track though. So after you finish populating it once, right? You have to give
Yeah.
summary table a new value. What we can do is you can do summary table is equal to summary table plus 1, right underneath the cells.
Okay, so
No, not there.
oh,
After you populate all of it, so after you put in all the value to the column that it needs to go,
oh, so here,
yeah,
so
iterate your summary table.
summary table
Yeah.
equals summary table +1.
Perfect. And now your summary table, every time this trigger, your summary table will go up by 1, while all the cells will be populated by whatever the summary table is at the time. So your ticker, your yearly change, percent change, and stock volume will all follow the same index.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
So we're not done yet. There's still one mistake.
Uh-oh.
Specifically looking at total stock volume. When you populate total stock volume in the cells, do you have total stock volume defined yet?
I
Do not.
no, I don't.
Yeah,
I have total stock volume at 0 here.
right. So it starts there, right?
The double. Yeah, I don't. So
But you did have it defined. So right now below, you have total stock volume is equal to total stock volume plus,
cells I7.
right. So that just had to go before populating the cells. So you have a value for total stock volume to put into the cell, to put into the
Okay.
column. Your summary
Okay,
table.
so this needs to go, I need to remove it from here,
Yeah, and then put it in the front.
put it here.
No, put it before all the summary cells are populated.
Right here. So before the cells right here.
Yeah, you could do it that way. Yeah, you can do it there.
Okay.
Because you use total stock volume when you are populating cells 12, right? Summary table
Okay.
12. So you
Yeah.
have to reference that variable or update that variable before you populate it.
Okay.
Right. Okay, and then notice that you have a total stock volume equal to 0. Why?
Because I want it to zero out every time that it gives a new ticker.
Right.
I
But
want
the
it to
thing-
start at 0.
Yeah, but the issue is total stock volume, you're adding the volume every single day. So you're iterating it. If you zeroed it out, wouldn't you just get the total stock volume of that day? So because every time you loop it and then it goes to 0, then when you add that day's total stock volume into it, it'll be 0 plus that total stock volume. So it'll be the same as that day, right? You need to make sure total stock volume will keep adding until you hit
The next ticker.
the next ticker. Oh, which is supposed to happen at the end.
Okay, so that needs to be moved here.
No, that needs to be moved outside the if.
Oh,
Wait, hold on.
so
Let me
I have it here.
Right.
I have it
Oh,
here.
okay, backwards. Actually, no. Okay, that was my mistake. Okay, so total stock volume is at the right place, equal to 0 is at the right place, but your total stock volume update is in the wrong place. Because you need to add total stock volume every single time a cell is being counted.
Okay.
So your
do I
if,
need-
yeah, you need to put it into the for loop, not the if loop. No, not this one. Your total stock volume equals 0 is correct. But your total stock volume equals total stock volume plus cell, that's incorrect. That needs to be in the for loop and not the if loop.
Okay.
But you get, you know why? You
So-
get why?
Okay. Because we want it to go through all the tickers and
every
then-
row.
every row until it hits the next ticker.
Right. And then every time it goes through one row, you want to add that current total stock ticker. I mean, that stock volume to your previous stock volume. So every single time you will add stock volume until you hit the ticker, which will in theory is the end of that specific unique value, right?
So would it, so it would go here? Because if I need it to have it within the loop, would
You
it,
need it needs to go outside the if loop.
oh, outside? So
You need to
we're
go in
saying
the
to
for
put it
loop.
up here?
No. You need to go within the for loop, but outside the if loop.
Okay, outside the
Because-
F loop.
yeah,
So
So
we
your
can put it
for
here. As long as
Yes.
it's before the F loop.
Right. But why? Why is that the case? That's a big question, right?
Okay,
Like, what does your for loop do? This is essentially
it literally
Line-
goes through the whole list.
right, line by line. So
Line by
you need to add total stock volume line by line,
Mhm.
right? And then when the
Right.
exception comes out, or when the if loop comes out, you actually reset it, so you can add it again.
Okay, so then that means I need to remove this one.
No, that's fine. It needs that's
This one's
actually
here?
Yeah, that's
Oh.
fine. Because at
okay.
the end, after you put in the total stock volume, you need to reset it. So the next unique index or unique ID can have its own total stock volume.
Okay. So
So
I'm a little confused. So does this one need to also stay?
yeah, that's fine. So that's
So
even
both of
outside
them-
the for loop. So when you create a variable, generally it's better to give that variable some value. Like if you create a string, you give it like an empty quotation mark. If you create a
Okay.
number, you set it to 0, just to give it some value. So
Okay.
I guess the macro will know to activate that variable. But honestly, nowadays you don't need to.
Okay.
It's just something I do, but it's not necessary. Okay, so if you scroll down, I notice that you have an else. What is that else for?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So what is so if you do else, right? Essentially is if cell that thing doesn't happen.
Right.
Okay. If the if statement is not fulfilled,
Mhm.
you would add total stock volume, which is actually a pretty good. It's a good way to add total stock volume for every cell. But what will happen if the if statement triggers?
If it's gonna redo it again.
No. So if the
No.
if statement triggers, your else is not going to trigger, right? So you're going to add up everything besides that if statement row. Then you're going to miss one value for your total stock volume.
So this doesn't need to be here.
No, you can just remove the else completely.
Okay. And this too.
Yes. And in theory, your system should populate now.
Okay.
Well, actually, I take that back. You don't have percentage change defined.
Yearly open price. No, I don't.
Yeah. So what's the equation for percentage change?
It's gonna be the yearly change minus the open price.
Divided by the open. Yeah.
I'm sorry, divided by the open price. I even have it here.
Yeah. It's cool. So yeah, let's define the open
so-
price. I mean percent change.
Okay. So would I would do it within the if statement right
Yes.
here.
Yeah. But would you do it
But-
before you update the open price or be after you update the open price?
It would be after the open price is populated.
Not open price update, not popular. But you're actually not showing anyone open price. You're only using open price for the formula, right?
Right.
So it has to be before your open price updates.
Okay. So if it's before my open price populates
For updates.
or updates.
Updates for the next iteration, for this iteration, I guess.
Okay. It's different. Okay.
So where does your open price update?
Would I have to start it up here then? It has to be open?
Well, it has to be
Oh,
after your close price updates, but before your open price updates. Actually, if you look at the equation, right, what variables do you need? Yes, that's correct. Yeah, that's the spot.
So it would have to be here.
Yeah, because you need yearly change and you need open price. But you need open price before your updates for the next iteration.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so this is for the percent change. Is that what we just said? Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I'm getting lost in the sauce.
No, it's okay. It is a lot of stuff. As
Okay,
far as
so
they organize.
change. It's so it's the yearly change divided by the open price.
Actually backwards. I think I might have given the wrong equation. It's open price divided by yearly change.
Oh.
Oh no. Oh my gosh. No, I'm so tired. I'm sorry. It's yearly change divided by open price. You're right. Oh my goodness. I'm stupid.
Okay. That's okay. Hey, you're helping me, so.
I forgot. Oh gosh, I gave you the wrong instruction. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
I believe you, Daniel. Can you tell?
Yeah, that was my bad. No, you had an equation there, so you just had to. Okay, so now percent change is defined. So your populating, like your summary table populating, will know where to find percent change.
Okay. Right. So then we have, now we know that it's gonna give me the ticker.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna give me the yearly change. It's gonna give me the percent change.
And then you will
we'll
update
define-
open price.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
For the next time.
For the next time, right? And then we had to define the very first,
Open price. And then it has to be the same variable because it's gonna create open price A, and that's not gonna be put into
Oh.
anywhere.
so I need to remove the A
Yes.
from here?
Because yeah, you have to
Okay.
have the open price at the same variable, but you use open price later on,
Okay,
and not open price A. Yeah.
gotcha. Okay, should
In
I try to
theory, yeah, in theory, this should work.
Okay, let's see. I'm gonna,
Is nothing populating? Only comments and sub. Oh, you have two end subs. You have to get rid of one end sub.
this is my notes. Part of my note.
When it's running, it's thinking. Okay.
Oh, okay.
That looks right. 3.75, 0.896. That's what I got.
Oh,
Gross
wow.
document. That's correct too.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yay. Okay.
All right, so that's step one. So the next one is you have to color code your percentage change. So you can go to
Okay.
the instructions and see the criteria for that.
Yep, okay. So, so color code, so use the conditional formatting.
Sure. Yep.
Okay.
So the number one question is, does your color code conditional formatting, does it have to be within your current conditional formatting or outside your conditional formatting? Like your if statement or the trigger.
I would say that, let me think real quick.
Just you can guess too.
I mean, I would say if we're doing the conditional, it's got to be within.
Yes. You're right. So so the if statement within the if statement. Essentially.
So, so we want to do it afterwards, right? After it's done all of this, we want to
Yeah.
add the conditional statement here.
Yes.
So would we say, would we use if again though here?
You can use if within if. Yep.
Okay, if cells, oh my goodness, let me see. It was a conditional formula that will highlight positive changes. Oh, okay, so for positive changes, green, for negative, it would be red. So cells in, let me see. I'm gonna pull this over here. Sorry. And we're looking at the ones in yearly change. So if cells two, and I would use the, at this point, can I use rows count or to last?
Sorry. If
Sure.
cells. No, you don't need
No?
you don't need a I for if statements. You need a condition. So Okay, so let's say which
It's
cell? Yeah, what are we using for the summary tables index?
for the summary table index. Okay, so basically we would say if cells, oh, okay, I know. I know.
Perfect. But without the equal, but yeah. Okay.
Then,
No, not yet.
oh, not yet.
Can you
Oh,
give it
because
the
we
condition?
wanted to give it the color, right?
Yeah. Well, the condition for the color.
The condition for the color.
What's a good way to define like
if
whether
it's
a number is positive or negative?
oh goodness. I'm not sure how to. I'm not sure how to define. I mean, other than positive or negative, but I'm not sure exactly how to define that the cell.
Well, what I did is I just do if that cell is greater than 0, that's positive. If less than
Ah,
0,
oh my gosh. That now I feel stupid.
no. There's just a lot going through your head right now. That's why like the simple stuff
That
will
was
escape
so
you.
simple.
Guys,
I talk about feeling really stupid right now.
I understand that you're learning a lot of new things, so it's very
Oh,
distracting from like your other knowledge. Yeah. Okay. But
oh my
that's
gosh.
yeah.
Okay,
That's
so if cells is greater than, no, greater or equal to 0,
sure.
then
Yeah. What happens?
then
I would say do end if right now, just so you're ending the if loop, so you don't mess it up later.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Just go ahead and end the if loop. End it now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just so you don't forget it later, and then you're gonna have an
And
error,
if,
and you're gonna be like, yeah, okay, and then just
okay.
put some interspace like between the two things, so you can write your yeah. There you
Okay.
go. So
So
what happens?
then, um, gosh, highlight.
Yeah, you can just Google it.
I know, I know. Let me see. Hold on one second. Oh, hold on one. What the color green is? Oh, Lord. Um, color green code for VBA script. Is that what you?
I wrote yeah. So I put the cell and I did dot interior dot color index equals index color, like whatever, like I think it's 4
Okay.
and 3, 3 and 4.
Oh gosh. Well, this is
Yeah.
what it gave me. Red is RGB 25500.
Yeah. So so it's one of our class activities that we
Yeah,
use to reformat the color. Anyway, I can just
I
give you the
remember.
code. Yeah, but it's essentially that cell dot interior dot color index.
Okay, so basically copy this cell again.
Sure. Yeah. But instead of dot value, you get dot interior.
Yeah, dot value.
No, instead of that.
Sorry. There.
Mm-hmm.
And then what?
Dot interior.
Dot interior.
Yeah.
Dot.
Index code.
The,
Oh, the color index. Sorry, color index with a capital C and a capital I.
index. Okay. Code?
Okay, and then no code. It's
Oh,
equal
no
to
code.
a number. I think for green is 4, for red is 3.
Okay, 4. And then three.
But don't forget your
Is
second
that
condition. You have to put a, because it's only red if it's not positive, right?
mm-hmm.
So how do you iterate a new condition? Oh, you don't have to do that. I mean, you could just put else,
Okay.
because if it's not positive, it has to be negative.
Okay, true. So
Yeah.
that's really okay. That makes sense now. Oh my gosh. So if it's not this, else that. So
Yeah.
it's either this, if not, it's that.
Exactly.
Okay. Got it. Okay, okay. So then that, oh, did I try to run it? See what it does?
See? It's thinking.
That one didn't color. Wonder
Okay.
why.
Why is that a problem?
Oh, because the summary table started at 2.
That's fine. Although you're on the right track, but it's not exactly that summary table, it's another summary table.
Uh-oh. Okay, hold on 1 second. It's gotta be here.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when does summary table update itself? To prepare it for the next next row in the summary table.
Right. So would I do -1?
No, you don't have to.
No.
You don't have to. You can just move the summary table is equal to summary table plus 1 below it. You just want to update after everything is done, essentially. That's one of the last things. This if
So
function.
remove it from here. And then add it here.
No. Well, I put it outside the if loop. Put it
Outside the,
outside. No, outside as in below it, but outside. So the order of when things happen is very important.
okay. So it'd have to be here.
Yes. So now summary table, because when you updated it before, your cell summary table is actually one over. So if you look at your J, it's off by 1.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah.
yep,
So if
you're in the
you
chain.
update it after the fact, then you will be correct.
Gosh. Oh wow. This is an art.
It's a lot of work.
This homework is definitely an art. Oh my gosh. So then now we
pretty
have to do all of this for tabs B, C, D, E, F, and P,
Yeah.
right?
So one thing you can Google is how to iterate through sheets inside a workbook or whatever, and then there's
Okay.
a bunch of ways to do it. But you
Okay.
just for every workbook you have to run that, pretty much.
Okay.
That's
Now let
the
me just
best.
ask really quick. In the workbooks, is that where I would go to the next I, or would I do the workbooks within this? I guess I can. I'll Google. I'll Google it, and then I'll see
Well,
what
so
I
let me ask you this: when
Yeah.
does this function, just what you did now, when does it start? On your VBA code right now, when does it start?
When does it start?
Yeah. When does this whole thing start? What's the first thing, first line of this whole code?
Well, when I start with,
Right.
when I open it up.
Okay. Right. So, but in theory, so when you say dim last row, right?
Yep.
Do you need dim last row for iterating just the workbook? I mean, okay, I need to phrase that better. So essentially, you're working on this specific worksheet
Right.
from dim last row, right?
Right.
Okay, so you're that kind of says that your sheet by sheet iteration or sheet by sheet just to look through all the sheets have to start before dim last row because your whole
Oh,
equation, because everything here starts after dim last row as double, right?
yep.
Yeah, so so essentially you want all this operation to be done for every worksheet. So if you found out how to iterate
Right.
through the worksheet, you can do um, every worksheet needs dim last row. So your loop will happen before dim last row.
That makes sense. Okay. All right. And then just really quick question, because I know they have mentioned about the GitHub where we
Right,
put,
right.
but where we put, where we put our homework. But
Yeah,
I'm a
SSH.
but my question is, when they say it has all of your, all the changes that you've made in here, what exactly does it mean? So, because I save I'm saving everything, my Excel file, my VBA Excel file, in my Excel. Do I have to upload it to GitHub every time? Is that what?
Kind of. Give me 1 second. I just got a message. Give me 1 second, okay?
Okay, thanks.
So, shoot. I need forgot when my tutor session is. I think it's in like 20 minutes, or
Uh-oh.
it could be now or 20 minutes on. Let me
Oh,
see.
wow. Well, if you've got to go, that's fine.
It's okay. Let me just make sure.
Can I put a comment here?
Yeah.
I want to know that Danielle, if she just activates the worksheets, it's going to apply to every single worksheet. She doesn't need to copy and paste them separately. Am I right?
You have to set up a loop to
Yeah.
loop through all the worksheets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So she can say that for each worksheet in the worksheets as a loop.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
You have to
I
loop
just
it.
wanted to know that if I did it right. So,
I see.
okay.
Oh man, I keep on. Okay, so yeah, so let me just give you, okay, so to loop through everything, how I did it is I did for each worksheet in worksheets, you can activate the worksheet. So this is like, I mean, you can kind of look this up. That's kind of the for loop. Okay, so and then next worksheet. So that's literally the last line for the code.
Let me stop sharing mine. Sorry.
It's fine.
You-
So
So you can share yours? Or were
well,
you
I mean,
trying to share yours?
yeah, I already put it in chat. So that's essentially the code to loop through the worksheet. So just make sure that everything that you did now is within. Oh, I put it in the Cisco WebEx chat. Do you see the chat?
Oh, I went on the other one.
Oh yeah, I can see. That's why I mentioned it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm still sharing mine.
Yeah. Where's your WebEx thing?
There
Okay.
it
What?
is.
Oh, do you see it? My chat. I think it's that little W right next to Excel on the bottom. I don't know if that's WebEx. Or are you using a browser?
Not
Let me-
sure, actually. Sorry.
It's okay. Let me just message you, I
It-
guess.
it- Yeah, and you can just message me individually if you can.
Carolina.
Yeah.
Send. That's not correct. Correct message.
Put my name there.
Let's see. Oh, there you go, Carol. I think this is probably the easier way. Let me just go to you talked during the introductions. I remember. There you go.
Oh, yes.
Message. There we go.
Yeah.
So for worksheet, hold on one second. For each worksheet, worksheets. Okay.
Yeah. And Sajid, if I
Yes.
need you, can I ping you?
Yes, you can pin me. Don't worry about it.
Oh, you're so awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Look, I need as much help as possible.
Just something that I won't be responsive before 4:30 p.m. because before that I don't have access to my personal laptop or personal cell phone.
No problem.
Yeah.
No problem. But
Okay.
yes.
So
Just feel free
unfortunately,
afterwards.
I do have to prep for my tutor. Yes,
Yep.
I depend on my tutor too. So we
Yeah.
let's call it a night for now, and then just give that a shot. I mean, majority of the homework done, and then you can see if you can do the bonuses, and we can
Okay.
go from. I know Durelia and Caleb is also here, and then I didn't get a chance to talk to any of them.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, maybe you can help them. You know, if they still have problems. I'm not sure if they posted their problems.
I'm going to, just before you go, Daniel, I'm going to actually share the download link by tomorrow because WebEx usually needs 24 hours or 12 hours, something like this, to process the video. And I'm going to share that video with you so you can download and upload it in your YouTube.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, just best way to share it. Probably just Google Drive it or something, and then I'll download it and I'll put it on my YouTube.
Okay, that's perfect.
Okay. Oh yeah, and speaking of
Thanks,
Google
guys.
Drive, so what's it? Let me just share my screen real quick. Okay. So you're talking about GitLab, right? GitHub.
GitHub. Yeah. I just
Okay.
yeah, because I was like,
Okay.
you know, what do they mean? You know, because I save it here, but am I supposed to save every time I make changes to GitHub? That's
Okay,
really
so essentially, I mean, the easiest way to think about GitHub is a Google Drive, but instead of like going to Google Drive, log in, and then like drag and dropping all the files, you can just do it through command prompt. Okay, so let's say I updated my sorry, hold on. Yes. Okay, so let's say I updated my module 1, right? I just updated it, and I want to put this into my GitHub. If everything is like put together correctly, I can just go to the command prompt, and then you see this is my folder, VBA challenge
Oh.
from Homework Data Science, and I
Okay.
can just do like git push, okay,
Okay.
and then that one command will just put it onto the website. So you don't have to keep like dragging and dropping. And then when I'm turning it in, where's my VBA? Okay, when I turn it in, I just give them this URL. I just post this URL into the assignment, and then I can just at any time I need to, I can just update it directly into GitHub.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I know this is hold on, wait, Git status.
Yeah.
Let me just see.
I haven't even reviewed yesterday's video from Hobart. So, and I got a little behind because I was in some of the breakout rooms. So I got a little behind, but I know I have, because I'm not going to have a lot of time for study groups because I'm getting a flight flight on Friday. I have to be at the airport at 7, so I won't be on the study group on Friday. And then Saturday, I'm helping my son move.
Right,
So I
right.
won't be on the study group. I'll be in the class, but I won't be in the study group. So I was trying to get as much help with the VBA as possible. And
I
then work,
see.
because
Did you
VS Code
you
seems
get
to be a little easier. Python.
yeah, no, Python is not easier, unfortunately. I know he keeps
No.
saying that.
Ugh.
Python is not easier in terms of syntax.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be easier in terms of syntax, like essentially like how do you write the code, but like you have to still understand what a for loop is,
Yeah.
so like remember I was talking to Matt. Essentially, he was just kind of confused on like when an object is updated. That was like a big confusion,
Yeah.
and Python is not going to make that kind of stuff easier. You have to
Okay.
know that the foundation of the just kind of what code does.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
the best way is definitely this Saturday when we are doing the group activity.
Yeah.
Let's just do it together and then let's really figure out like coding in general, because I think this class teaches a lot of like how to write the code, but it actually doesn't teach you how coding works. So maybe
Yeah.
we can go through that, like
Okay.
what happens with the computer when you put in a for loop and stuff. So we can do
Yeah.
that this Saturday.
Okay.
But unfortunately, Python is not going to make that part easier. You still have to know how your loops work. Maybe writing it, like defining a variable or whatever, that part will be easier. But
Okay.
yeah, unfortunately. So we can talk about that on Saturday. Yeah, that's our next session. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And Caleb, Durelia, I'm sorry I have to go. I know you didn't really talk the whole time. And I guess after this is recorded, maybe you can just reference. I mean, this is pretty much the entire homework, I think, minus the bonuses. So we
I
should
can
be
raise
good
the
I
there.
just look at the
so-
recording and see what I can figure out.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just try to look at the recorded content and essentially the code, and then you can also reference the last class group study, and then that could probably help too. And if you have any
Yeah.
question, just post it onto Slack. I mean, everybody is very like helpful. So
So Daniel, before you go, I know that you are almost on the time, but does these tutorial sessions actually work? Are they helpful?
the WebEx.
No, the tutorial, not this, the one that Georgia Tech offers for this program.
Yes, it works. I just hate that we only get our tutor once.
And it's like
And
40
it's
minutes.
only
Once
50
per week or once per the whole program?
No,
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 once per
sorry,
week.
once per week for 50
Okay.
minutes. But I was reading and it says that it is a requirement that we use the class hours, that we should be working with our TAs. I didn't know it was a requirement.
I think it's a
So-
requirement for career services, but it's not a requirement to graduate. So if you want to use your career
Yeah.
services later on, you have to get your TAs and you have to go through the career services milestone in the course assignments.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
because I had, I completed the survey afterwards with the tutor, and it says, that it is a requirement that we use the TAs.
Yeah.
Okay, understood. Anyways, thank you so much for that, and thank you so much, Daniel.
No
Yes.
problem, no problem. Yeah, just post any questions in Slack and then we'll do our best, okay?
Okay,
Bye.
so have a great evening, guys.
Okay, good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Good night.